Hi, Alliance members. This is Newell Augur coming to you with this week's report from Augusta for the week ending May 4th. Veto Day took place 2 days ago, and regrettably, we are no closer to the $4 million that we're looking for the reimbursement rates for sections 19, 63, and 96. The day kind of broke down as follows after the review of the governor's vetoes had been done, including the marijuana veto, which we'll talk about. There was some discussion on extending the session and using that time to then fix or fund some of the ideas that they've been talking about, specifically our bill, the Intellectual Disabilities Direct Care Worker bill, the jail funding bill, and then the bill that effectively allows the DOE to fund general purpose aid for education. That's actually reset every year and hasn't been done, and it needs to get done. And there was a lot of fighting about the number of days. The Democrats wanted 4. There was a Republican who proposed 1, which 30 Republicans actually and a number of independents supported, but no Democrats supported. When I questioned a few of them on that, they said, well, they want the veto day to be able to review the governor's decisions on some of the bills they funded. I thought that was a little bit of a red herring because the governor's not going to need to veto any bill because he and the House Republicans are pretty closely aligned, so there wouldn't be any bill that was going to get through that they weren't going to support. But they felt they want to have that constitutional protection or activity, and so they insisted on 4. They then reduced it to 3, and the author of that amendment, who was a Democrat, actually got up on the floor and said that we can't even do gridlock right, which was funny and true, sadly. But ultimately, the agreement was no agreement. The House Republicans, I think, are determined to have a special session, and that's really the only way this is going to get resolved. So they adjourned sine die, meaning Latin without day, and the legislature is adjourned, but a special session can be called. Tax conformity is still on the top of the Republicans' list, I think, and then obviously some of these other bills, including ours, which would need to be addressed before June 30th. The discussion or scuttlebutt I've heard is that the governor may call people in after the primary. I don't think you're going to see anyone there between now and June 12th. But there may be something after the primary to look at those issues. If that doesn't happen, if that being the nuclear result or nuclear option, if you will, we're going to need to think very seriously about getting the Appropriations Committee, with the support of the governor's office, to issue a financial order that would at least cover us till the date of a special session or until January of 2019, when presumably the new governor and legislature could have a supplemental budget to make that allocation. We have reached out to the governor's office. We're obviously going to continue to have those discussions. Hopefully won't get to that point, but that's going to be something that we're going to try to see as a way around this impasse or inactivity. With respect to the changes in Section 40, we had obviously been pushing for about $500,000 to bring those rates to about 70% of the Medicare rate for that same service. We have some momentum, which is good, in some of the discussions we've tried to have with Burns. Unfortunately, that money is not in either one of the packages that the parties have been sharing publicly and with one another. And at this stage in the negotiation, usually the packages get pared down, not expanded. And so, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to be looking at next year as the next chance to try to make that case to the legislature. As I say, we do have some good momentum coming into that, and hopefully we'll continue to have Representative Jorgensen as a sponsor to bring that issue forward. So we'll keep working on that. Other items of note: the marijuana bill did pass over the governor's objection. I wouldn't anticipate there be any adult use recreational marijuana activity as long as Governor LePage is sitting in that chair. I doubt that they're going to get going on any rules. The most they may do is bring in a consultant or hire someone who previously worked in Colorado to help them begin to craft a regulatory framework. But you're probably not going to see any activity related to that bill until the summer of 2019 at the earliest. And there are a number of rules that need to come back to the legislature in 2019 anyway, that the legislature will get one more bite at before those rules are promulgated. So it's still quite a ways off. Lastly, there was a press conference on Wednesday, also on Veto Day, that wasn't really a kickoff of the campaign, but was a discussion of some of the legal infirmities, if you will, with the 3.8% tax that's going to fund the expansion of home-based care. It included Chief Justice Wathen, who talked a little bit about the unconstitutionality of the bill, essentially the delegation of the taxing power to an entity, or spending power to an entity that is not at all connected to government. And then two other lawyers who spoke about some of the challenges of the bill, the privacy implications for the bill vis-a-vis HIPAA, and then some of the general tax policies and the confusion that bill will cause. The campaign, I suspect, will kick off some point later this month, and the business community is certainly committed to trying to put out a united and powerful front to combat the advance of the MPA, the Maine People's Alliance, who I'm sure are going to be very well funded by out-of-state interests, George Soros and others. And we'll wait to see where the Union and the Democratic Party come down on that. That's yet to be determined. We do know that Maine Council on Aging and AARP are not taking a position on the bill for a number of different reasons. So more to come on that. We'll try to give you an update maybe a week or two. But if since there's no more reports from Augusta necessarily, why don't we plan on checking back in prior to the June primary, and we'll get you some sort of a predictor on who the respective flag bearers of their parties will be in the general election. And with that, have a great month of May, and we'll talk to you soon.